Hey, hello, hello. How is everybody doing today? It is Haley Taylor Simon, and I am doing some of my Philadelphia sports talk today. I usually have on my light, but I'm going to be honest, the light needs to be charged. But that does not stop me from coming on here and talking to you about all things Philadelphia sports, my thoughts on what is going on in the sports world, and of course, getting your responses as well. I am going to post this right now onto my Twitter page, which is this at Haley T. Simon. And then I'm going to also go live on TikTok so we can get both things done out of the way. Now, I want to start this off by saying that if you're on YouTube, I am going to be doing so many more YouTube live videos. And that way we can kind of just have a conversation going. So if you're not already subscribed to me on YouTube, make sure to do that. And it definitely helps me out quite a bit. Thank you for the like. I'm going to go live on TikTok now. So we're going to be going live on both platforms. That way I can answer all of your questions at once. It just makes it super easier on my end. That way we can just be on here together and just talking some sports. So I have some comments. What's up, Haley? What's up? How are you doing today? So I want to get this out of the way. The Philadelphia Eagles are now 11-4. And what does that exactly mean for our birds? Well, it means that there is a chance that they could still get the number one seed, which is absolutely insane. When I think about this football season, I think about a lot of things. I think about the fact that this team isn't as good as they thought, as we thought they were going to be, and they weren't as good as they thought they were going to be. This is a football team that needs a lot of evaluation. And I don't know if this is a Super Bowl contending team, despite the fact that they might be that number one seed. I don't think that this team is going to win it all this season. But I said that last year too. It is very difficult for the loser of the Super Bowl, for the winner of the Super Bowl to come back and to be as successful. I think that there's a lot more problems with this team. It's not just how they're playing, but it's with their communication, it's what's going on in the locker room, the sidelines. And when there's all of this drama, it's going to articulate to be very messy on the field. And, last year I felt uber confident about the Eagles. I thought that this was the best Eagles team. I thought that team was better than the 2017 team. But the problem is this season, everyone's expectations was Super Bowl or nothing. I thought that way. I'm going to be honest. I went into the season thinking that way. But do I think that's a realistic expectation to have right now? No. Because right now, the only thing that I can think of is when will they get out of the playoffs? Will it be the wild card round if that's what they're in? Will it be the divisional? Will it be the conference? I don't know. And, you know, the thing about the NFL is that there's usually a handful of very good teams. It's not this league where there's a lot of successful teams. And when I think about the teams that could make a run, okay, we could make an argument for the 49ers. Absolutely. I think the Ravens look like one of the best teams in the NFL. I think Lamar Jackson is unbelievable. But when I think about Philadelphia, I don't think I could put them on that kind of pedestal yet. So let me know what you think. Do you think that this is an Eagles team that kind of really just dropped the ball? And if so, do you think they're going to be able to come back next season a dominant team? I would like to say yes. I would like to be optimistic. I would like to be hopeful. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know. And that's the frustrating part about this is that I don't know. And I don't know how they're going to respond, but it is heartbreaking to know that this is a team that is most likely going to disappoint us. And sure, I tend to be a little bit more negative. I don't always see myself as being more optimistic. That's just not who I am when it comes to sports, at least. In life, yes. In sports, no. In sports, I tend to be more negative because I'm always expecting the worst. And in Philadelphia, how can you not? I feel like the sports gods are always against Philadelphia sports teams. And this brings me to my next point. The blame is now shifting from the players to Coach Sirianni. Do you think Nick Sirianni is going to continue his job here in Philadelphia for a long time coming? I think that he has been an outstanding coach. I think that if it wasn't for this season and you just focus on last season, I would say, oh, yeah, he's going to be here for a while. But this season, I've just seen a different team. And here's the thing, I'm getting some comments right now saying, "What's up, Haley? Hey, how are you?" Somebody says they need to start running the ball more, and that is on Brian Johnson and his play calling decisions. If the Eagles continue to run the ball, sure, they're going to be a better team on the field, but there's moments where you cannot run the ball, where it's maybe like a 3rd and 6. Okay, you're going to need to throw the ball. And I hate screens. I think the Eagles don't do a good job with their screen plays. I think that it's a really weird thing. Like, I feel like there's just a lot that they're not getting. And that's the problem right now is that I don't know what works with this team because it has been so inconsistent. And the inconsistency of the Philadelphia Eagles, it's what's hurting them the most. It's not It's not helping. And somebody on the YouTube says that the screen game has been brutal. Absolutely. Even, this past weekend, I was there against, the Birds and the Giants, and I was like, "Whoa, this sucks." Um, Somebody says, "Hello, you do some good stuff. Watching the Blues." I know, and I am. It's funny. I feel like my entire day is like watching sports, rewatching sports, and I don't always do everything live. I usually just, do all my live streaming at night and then watch everything during the day. YMC says, I think Jalen Hurts is not playing the way that he did last year, and I think that he is hurt. He does have a knee bruise or bone bruise, whatever you want to call it. And I am sympathetic, and I do understand that stuff, it really does impact how you play. But at the same time, this is your job. Take care of business. I don't wanna say tough it up because I don't know what that feels like, but you need to do your job. Somebody says, "Haley, I think you're awesome even though you're an Eagles fan, and I appreciate you." And I wanna say thank you because I am an Eagles fan, but I do appreciate you too. Alan says, "I do not believe in Sirianni. I think he hit his peak last year as our coach." And this is the thing, you look at Sirianni's history in the NFL, and don't forget that he did some coaching with the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously the Colts, and he's been around and, he played the game himself. He was a wide receiver. I think that Sirianni is the type of coach that is either liked or hated. I don't think that he's for everybody. But it's needless to say that he did get this Eagles team to the Super Bowl pretty early on in his career. So I can't hate him. I also think that you don't hit your peak um only after a couple seasons, but I can understand why. Somebody says Jalen Hurts is overrated. I don't think he's overrated. I think it's just been a tough season. Um So, yeah, Doug Peterson, yeah, he did win it all and he was fired a couple years later, but I'm not gonna say that Doug Peterson hit his peak. Sure, he's with the Jags now, but he didn't hit his peak as a football coach. Sure, he hit his peak as an Eagles coach. So if that's what you're saying with this specific team that maybe Sirianni hit his peak with the Philadelphia Eagles, okay, but as a coach, I don't think that he hit his peak yet. I think that there are very few coaches that stay with the same team for a long time. And one of those is, of course, Bill Belichick with his really bad looking Patriots team. So let's go see. This year, you're seeing an average Jalen season. And yeah, absolutely. You cannot expect the same numbers as last season. That's like impossible. That's basically saying, okay, we want magic to happen twice. That is not how it works. Even some of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I'm not saying that that's Jalen Hurts, he still has a lot to prove, but even some of the best quarterbacks have seasons where they don't play well. And sure, yeah, it's frustrating and it sucks because you expect nothing but greatness coming out from Jalen Hurts, but that's not the reality of this right now. So I understand. Chris says, "Hello, how are you? Doing well, talking some sports, so I cannot complain about that." I also appreciate all of your comments on the YouTube at Haley Taylor Simon or my TikTok at Haley Taylor XO because I love talking to you about all things Philadelphia sports. So if you have any questions, let me know. I love to talk all 444 sports. That is my favorite thing. This is a good question. Somebody says, "What do you expect out of the Philadelphia Eagles in 10 years from now?" I expect another Super Bowl championship, if I'm being honest with you. I think being a contending team it makes you a little bit greedy, right? I'm like, "Okay, it's been a little while since we last won." I'm like, "Okay, no." Like, in reality, it hasn't been that long. But of course, I'm a little bit greedy and I want this team to continue on their success and bring home another trophy to the city yet again. Allen said it best. He said, "This team was meant to win the Super Bowl, and anything less is disappointment and a fail." And I agree. I've been saying that all season, Allen, and I like that you made that comment. I think that this is a team where the expectation really was Super Bowl win or a failed season, and I still stand by that. If they don't win the Super Bowl, which I'm not expecting them to do, but if they don't end up winning, it will be a failed season for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I have a question for you. Do you think that this is the worst 11-4 Eagles team that you have seen? Because it's crazy when I say that out loud. Oh yeah, the Eagles are 11-4. And before the season begun, you might be like, "Okay, that's awesome." They had such a tough schedule. They have 2 games remaining and they're 11-4. This is really good. But when you look at the way that they've been winning these games, it is nothing but disappointing. It is nothing but frustrating because they are not blowing teams out the way they did last season. They've gone to overtime twice. They've almost lost against the Commanders twice. Like, this is a football team that is not playing to their best potential. And it's funny because, you look around the NFL and you look at a lot of these other teams, and I crack up because I might sound crazy saying that, but that's truly how I feel, that this might be one of the worst 11-4 Philadelphia Eagles teams I have ever seen. So, it's the reality. Somebody says, "I think they're playing up to their potential." And that is interesting. While I understand that argument, a win is a win. There's no way that it comes down to the last play against the New York Giants. There's no way that the same thing happened against the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, well, the Cowboys is a little bit different because they are a better team. But my point being is, it shouldn't be this inconsistent where the Eagles are truly having to fight for every single win during that final play of the game. I just think that this isn't a team that is going to be strong enough in the playoffs. And I want them to be. I'm sure you want them to be. But the reality of the Philadelphia Eagles is pretty simple. This is a season that has been disappointing. And okay, let's go say theoretically they win their next 2 games. On New Year's Eve, they defeat the Arizona Cardinals coming to Philadelphia, and then they defeat the Giants. They finish the season, I'm saying theoretically right now, they, finished 13-4. I would say that's a success. I had the Eagles winning 12 games this season at least. I think that record-wise, that is a good thing, and it's an impressive record to have. But play-wise, I am still concerned. And I'll tell you my biggest concern. It's not about, you know, necessarily these next 2 games. It's about the playoffs. It's about how they're going to be if they have to play the Detroit Lions, the San Francisco 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys even. It's about them potentially having to play, if they make it to the Super Bowl, the Ravens, who look unstoppable right now. So there is a lot of concern about the success of the Eagles this season. And we're coming to the point on the season where, hey, this is about to happen. And the secondary, somebody says that it sucks. And yes, the secondary does suck. Who is the best team in the NFL right now? Somebody says to me that Logan asked me. I think it's the Ravens. I really do. I think Lamar is unbelievable. And he is definitely an MVP candidate for sure. I think that he has proven that yet again. Anything can happen. Okay. Anything can happen in the playoffs. It's going to be interesting, though, to see how everyone finishes and to see basically the final script. I'm not saying that there's a script in the NFL. I'm saying the final script of how the playoffs are going to look. Because if that ends up being like the Eagles get that, that number 1 seed and they get the bye week, that could be a disadvantage. It really could be. So we'll see what goes on and what happens. But right now, do I feel good about this team? No. Do I feel hopeful? Absolutely. Because that is one thing about being a sports fan, a Philadelphia fan, is that you're always going to have hope no matter what. That's how we're born. That's how we're bred. And that's what makes us the best fans in the planet, is that we can understand, okay, the season hasn't been the way that we wanted it to be. It hasn't gone our way. And we can understand that. But at the same time, we still have the sense of hope, the sense of what if. And I think that that's an important thing because I believe in Jalen Hurts. I've always believed in Jalen Hurts. And I think that if there is anybody that is going to impress you, that is Jalen Hurts. I think this is going to be Jason Kelsey's last season. I don't even get me started on Lane Johnson because I will be very upset because I don't want to think about the fact that these players that have been so impactful for the Philadelphia Eagles are going to retire. But that's the reality. So who knows? Maybe when it comes to the playoffs, they're going to play the way that we expected them to play all season because this is the last time that they'll be wearing the Philadelphia Eagles uniform. Wow. Now that's a downer. All right. Well, this was my Philly sports talk for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're on my TikTok, make sure to give a follow and to give a like. I appreciate every single person. And I'm hoping to do these videos more consistently. I like to keep them short. It's like a little mini like segment that we have going on here. And I will talk to you tomorrow for your Philly sports update of the day. All right. Goodbye, TikTok, and goodbye, YouTube. If I can figure out how to end any of this, because sometimes that is the difficult part, is how to actually end these videos.